So in these days of a lot of good Marvel hero, superhero stories, it's easy for us to think that the Ascension is like Jesus, like Superman, Supergirl, going up to the heavens. It's easy because that's what filled our imagination in our movies. And though it's true, Jesus ascends to where God is. Today's feast, what meaning does it have for us in everyday life? And I will propose this, that for greater life to come, sometimes we have to go away. And in fact, the separation and the pain and the loss that comes with it brings greater life, greater intimacy, greater connection. So I'll tell you two stories. One story comes from Alaska. So every year around this time, I go to not the cruise ship kind of Alaska, the other kind of Alaska, the remote, rural, poor parts of Alaska. And there was this 20-year-old young woman. Her name is Auna. And as you know, states like Wyoming and Montana and Alaska are consistently on top of the list for higher suicide rates because life is tough there. Every family there in remote Yupik villages of Alaska knows about suicides. And so Auna comes, and the July before the April, her brother committed suicide. And then December comes, and her mother, heartbroken, commits suicide. And though they had a memorial service for her mom, she came to the retreat really struggling. Where's my mom? Where's my mom, Father? Of course, I tried to give her platitudes, but it's not easy. And so the retreat went, and God can speak to us in so many ways. And for the Yupik people, through dreams. And God, quote unquote, speak to this 20-year-old Auna through dreams. And in her dream, she imagined she was going to Mass, regular Mass, and then she imagined her aunt and her mom going up to communion together. And then, after receiving communion, her mom came to her and looked at her the way her mom usually looks with her, with tenderness and with delight. And this time, Auna said, with reassurance. And she says, honey, it's all right. I'm with God. You can let go. You can let go of your resentment. You can let go of your struggle for me. Your brother and I are all right. And then this young woman, it's changed her life. It's been 2 years. It's changed her life. I've heard similar stories like this on retreats. Another one comes from an adult man in his late 50s. I'll call him Hector. And Hector didn't have the best relationship with his mom. It wasn't bad, but it didn't end very well, and he couldn't say peace. He couldn't reconcile when she died. And so on this retreat, in a prayer period, when he imagined encountering Jesus, somehow it surprised him that he found his mom with Jesus. And in a similar way, he says, well, Jesus is not a woman, but Jesus smiled like my mom. And then he, in his imaginative prayer, he began to reconcile with his mom. And he says, Father, I can't believe this is possible. that she has died 30 years ago. And now I'm getting closer to her. And there's healing, there's letting go, and there's understanding, and all this weight, all these burdens has ascended from me. Now these are two stories of many stories that it doesn't matter to the veil of death. Greater life comes. And greater life comes with Alna and with Hector, with their mothers. But you know, this mystery of the life needs to ascend so greater life can come could happen in our life in ordinary ways. Every time we drop off our children at school for the first time, the separation hurts. Or a man has to leave his family for a week or weeks to travel to make a living. That distance, that time away could help the reflection. Or, like many of us, like myself, sometimes you have to go away to college and live away to appreciate your parents and the sacrifices that they bring. And so distance doesn't necessarily make the heart closer, but there's a mystery of life that sometimes a separation, a going away, and ascending needs to happen. Just like as Jesus says, I will go away, and for a short period you will be sad, but I will give you the Spirit. And with the Spirit, not only it will confirm what I've taught you, you can do more than I have done. Greater life. And that's what this feast is about. That life as we know, at times, needs to be transformed, needs to ascend. And the letting go that comes with it, the separation that comes with it, sometimes the tears that needs to come, with it, greater life will come. And so in the church next week, we celebrate this fuller coming of God's Spirit. And in the first reading today, when when Jesus ascended to the Father, the apostles kept looking up in the sky, and there were those two angels who says, why are you looking up? He's not there. He's here. Go proclaim. So, where is Jesus? We believe that he's with God, but we believe that Jesus is very much in each of our lives. In the life-giving way which we receive. There are so many things that mothers have in common with God's love. I'm just going to highlight two. One, the bearing of life. The literally bearing of life. None of us come into the world but from our mother. Our fathers too, but definitely we know from our mothers. And the nurturing of life. And yes, we don't always have the best relationship with our moms. And yes, sometimes moms do their best and they fall short. But moms bear life, nurture life, continue to give life, again and again and again. And the second way is probably sacrificing. Just think of the ways in which the mother figure in your life sacrifices with you, for you. Sometimes in tender way, sometimes not so much in words. Asian parents don't always express in words, but in deeds, absolutely. And then St. Paul tells us, what he prays, may the eyes of your hearts be enlightened, that you may know what is the hope that belongs to his call, and that God, that Christ who fills all things in every way, Christ who fills all things in all ways. So St. Paul prays that the eyes of our hearts may be open, that we may recognize that Christ that the life of God is in our ordinary and extraordinary life. As the poet Gerard Hopkins says, Gerard Manley Hopkins, for Christ plays in 10,000 places, lovely in limbs, lovely in eyes not his, to the Father through the features of men's and women's faces. And so life is all around us. It's close to our mothers. And this season is a continuing of letting the eyes of our hearts be open to the ordinary and the extraordinary life around us. And then the disciples were told, look to the earth, look in your life, and to do what? To go and preach to all creatures. What might that mean for us this week? To go out on the streets and preach? Maybe for some of us. But I wonder too, I don't know if you have any chance to do something nice for your mothers today. Don't worry, Mother's Day doesn't end today. Tomorrow and this coming week. So I flew home to San Diego. I just came up from San Diego. I flew home to San Diego because I rarely get a chance to go home for Mother's Day. I didn't tell my mom, nor my dad. So I came in, my mom was on the phone, and she was like, and I think she was talking to my aunt, or she's like, oh yeah, he's here, he didn't tell me he's here, but, and then she gave a big smile, and she didn't say very much, and her surprise surprised me, and I was the one giving the surprise. So I wondered, I didn't give any gifts. My gifts was the present to my mom and to my family, to my sisters. The other mom, although my sisters knew because I had to plan with them. Surprise your mom. Surprise the mother figure in your life with some random acts of kindness. Let yourself be surprised by life this week. Do something so out of the blue. And it doesn't have to be great. It could be something very simple. It could be a tender look. I know it's not always easy, but maybe say, Mom, and look into her eyes. Choose the best time, of course, if she's ready. Look into her eyes and say, thank you. And be specific. Thank you for, I love you. Thank you for being the face of Christ for me. Thank you for helping me see the life of Christ. Thank you for being the sacrifice of Christ. Yesterday's feast is about Jesus ascending and Jesus leading the way to our eternal home. But today's feast is also about recognizing life here and now. And the possible separation, the possible distance that may come. That sometimes we have to go away a bit. So greater life, greater appreciation, greater intimacy could be experienced. May we proclaim, may we preach the gospel by receiving life and by blessing others in our absence, in our ascending.